So this is Breath by Tim Winton, Australian author. And we did this event at Mr. B's, didn't we? And there was a couple of books that we read.
Eyrie.
Eyrie.
Yeah.
And I read this one. So this is basically quite a lot about surfing, which I know very little about, although we do live by the sea and I do like being in the sea. So I've never tried surfing before. But the boy in here, it's kind of, I suppose it's a bit of a coming of age story. But it's about him kind of fitting in with this crowd and these new people and getting to know people, but also about that exhilaration of surfing and wanting to catch the big wave and being in the moment. And I remember when I was reading it, the way Tim Winton describes how it is to be, in that moment, it reminded me of Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now book. So I ended up writing it a bit about both of those things, and just, I don't know, I suppose it's exhilaration, it's the danger, the power of the sea, and how when you're surfing you're kind of at the mercy of the sea and you don't know what's going to happen, but you kind of got to trust that. But that's part of the excitement and a part of the reason why people do it. They need that adrenaline, and but it's also just enjoying that. Like, maybe you don't have a chance. I think when you're doing something like that, you almost you can't think about anything else. And actually, I sometimes get that when I'm just swimming in the sea, and especially if it's, you go in and it's cold and you don't really think about it. It washes everything away in a way. Like you go in and it weirdly calms everything because it's such a shock to the body, or it's, you're just enjoying that moment. And it's the same, I think, when you're surfing, but with a bit more adrenaline. So I was reading The Power of Now for my kind of driving anxiety, and I suppose the road has that danger as well, and maybe it was trying to feel like just got to be in that moment rather than thinking about what else is happening out there. And I suppose these things will last a long time. And
we ended up filming a performance of it on a cliff face at Land's End.
Yeah, we did. The waves.
I guess we wanted to sort of somehow inject a bit of that adrenaline into the recording of it.
The body, but I hold on. My mind turns upside down. There is no ground. Almighty sound. The silence, craving another hit of freedom, wanting more of it to feed on. The world flies inside out.
Do you know where talk about adrenaline? There was an event, it must have been at the book festival, there was that wine tasting.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And they wanted different poems or stories or whatever about different wines, and there was like an Australian wine. I don't know where you were, but I had to go to this event, and I talked about Breath, and I said about the song, and I was just talking about it, which sometimes is more terrifying. Because the song I feel comfortable, but I hadn't taken an instrument, and then everyone was like, sing it. And so I sang the song with no instrument, which completely a cappella, really terrifying. But it was really nice because people started kind of clapping along, and
Right.
yeah, it was one of the most scary things that I had done, but it
Well,
was actually really
Appropriate.
worthwhile, and I'll remember that moment.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah, it's glad that I did do it.
I remember Tim Winton's. So after we met Tim, so Tim's an Australian author, obviously, and his publisher, I think, sent us another book of his later, but then also a children's story that
Oh,
they
yeah.
just, it wasn't one of, well, not Tim's book, but just another one that they published. And it was really nice, like not write a song inspired by this, but I've heard you've just had a child. It was
Yeah,
a nice children's
that's
book.
really, really nice. Yeah, and he
Yeah.
was really nice, wasn't he? I remember
Yeah,
Tim
Tim
being
was great.
lovely.
Yeah. So that's Breath by Tim Winton.